Right, welcome to Brandex Reviews. We're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about a concept in films and kind of using a more modern, recent film out as like an example. So before you start complaining, no, we still haven't seen Fan Four Stick. We have no intention of seeing Fan Four Stick.
At least not in cinemas, anyway.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah, I mean, the argument's going to be like thrown against us. How can you criticise a film you haven't seen?
We're not criticising that film. Well, we are, but not
we can.
specifically.
I think we know the genre well enough. We've seen enough
Yeah.
disasters, and we've seen enough reviews of the film to know exactly what the problem is with it. So,
See, at the moment we're talking about adaptations, where somebody takes like a book, a comic book in this case, and then makes a film out of it. And in its essence, this is actually usually, like most films you see with this sort are adaptations. You don't really get scene-for-scene remakes of things. And a lot of times it can work, but sometimes you just got to wonder what was going through the film, like the writers, the directors' heads, when they just take a concept that works and they change it so fundamentally for the screen that why did you bother with the idea in the first place? Because this isn't the property you were trying to make. It's like, all right, well, we've got Bond, except we're going to change it. He's not going to be like English anymore, and he's not going to be a secret agent. It's like, all right, so basically all you've got is a guy in a tux. This is no longer Bond. Like, what was the point of this?
yeah, I can see what you mean. I think because we were having a conversation before we did the video, and you were kind of using Doctor Doom in the new film.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the successful films, because people are kind of like, oh, they're doing really badly and stuff, but they have had some successes. They've had the X-Men films.
Yeah, they did their own thing with that. They didn't use the
Yeah,
yellow.
and they're a nice big franchise. And again, these are adaptations. They haven't specifically gone, verbatim for any plot out of the comics.
They took liberties.
Yeah, they took some pretty big liberties. Is it Days of Future Past, the most recent film? They changed a lot to bring that to the screen. It's not, that much like the actual comic. Characters have all been swapped around, concepts have all been swapped around, but they stayed true to the essence of it, and thus it kind of worked. I mean, if you're going to try and transfer something from one media to another, you kind of need to keep the concept of it alive for it to work.
A lot of the time, yeah. I mean, the point you're making, I know, because your idea to do this video on this, and you were saying it's not. The point is it one answer? Is the best approach? Just stick to the original source material. That's the only way it can be made. I know that's not what you're saying. Some people might interpret it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, that's the point I'm getting to. I mean, it needs to be changed, but you need to keep the essence of something the same, or else what is the point? I mean, if you look at it, they've taken Doctor Doom and pretty much stripped away every part of the character except for the name, Doom. And it's like, well, this isn't the same character. This isn't... How are you expecting people to latch onto this character? You've taken away all the things that you can identify with this character. And going back to the example I was bringing up of the X-Men films, one of the more successful things in the... I don't really want to say the rebooted part of the X-Men franchise, but the kind of the past thing.
The original trilogy.
No, I'm thinking the the new ones have done
the new trilogy with First Class, Days of Future Past. And
I'm just trying to think how would you sum that up? In a
what? How
it's when they've gone back to the past and kind of.
It's kind of like a relaunch. It's not a reboot.
It's not a reboot because it's the same continuity, in fact. It's just somebody travelled back in time and things have changed. But it's a character from the original trilogy that's gone back. So I'm not really sure how you'd sum that up, but...
I think they just refer to those as the younger cast member trilogy.
Yeah, like they say, that's works as well as any. But one of the more successful characters in that is Magneto. A villain who has been taken with he's been written pretty differently in the comics over the years because he has gone through a lot of changes. But at the essence of it, they kind of kept the fact that he's the kind of very charismatic villain, and also a very shades of grey villain.
Is that what they say?
Because you can actually kind of root for the guy. I mean, even in the films where he's not exactly the bad guy like Days of Future Past, he still does end up basically being a dick.
It just like messes it
Yeah.
up, doesn't it? It's like he's not the villain, but then he soon becomes it because he has his own agenda.
Now, I don't understand why on earth they didn't go that direction with Doom, because it worked so well in these like X-Men films, and this is the same studio even. Even arguably they're going for a similar approach, because they were, you know, X-Men was quite gritty and kind of it wasn't as comic booky in some ways as the Marvel films have been.
I think they had a lot of communication. I mean, I know they've, from what I've heard, and I don't think it's just rumour, but things like the Josh Trank, the director, having like issues and turning up drunk. I don't know if that happened once, or it was a regular thing. He was also locked out of the editing room as well at one point as well. So
I mean, definitely, I think so a lot of the problems were there, but I mean, just the writing of it, just the concept. I mean, that can't all be blamed on the director.
no.
But yeah, you've effectively got Doctor Doom, this charismatic character who has been... He's always a villain, he's always, you know, ultimately out for himself, but he does arguably good things. You can actually see moments where he would team up with the Fantastic Four for some, like, temporary alliance against a worse threat.
Yeah. Because I read one comic where he goes back to like Camelot, and with Iron Man they go back in time and they have to work together to like build like a machine. And yeah, it's kind of like something like that kind of. They obviously can't use Iron Man, but just specifically, but something cool like that would. But
ultimately, what they had is what
a mess.
Yeah, I mean, he's not Latverian as far as I know. He's not the dictator of a country. He doesn't seem to have the any of the character like things that I would directly like attach to Doctor Doom. Not even the look is kind of all over the place. I think he has a bit of a torn cape at one point. That's about it. They could very easily have like Magneto'd this character, made him like an interesting character. I mean, you said there was one time he works with Iron Man. I'm pretty sure there's one point where the Fantastic Four actually have to put him back in charge of Latveria, the country that he essentially is the tyrant of, because he was the lesser of two evils. I mean, the people who were running the country at the time was so much worse than Doom. They had to take a step back and go, well, Doom's an asshole of the
kind
epic,
of like a Saddam Hussein kind of character.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately his country of Latveria. He took it over. He killed the rightful rulers, who were assholes, but, you know, that doesn't mean they need to die. He took over the country. Everybody has to worship him. Everybody, you know, Doom's word is law. However, the country's a utopia. Perfect medical care. People don't want for anything except for freedom. I mean, he is literally like a benevolent dictator.
Yeah, I mean, they could have. It's alright taking liberties as long as you make a good movie. Because, like I said, I know that's not what you're saying, because it might come across that way. But you're saying there's no cookie cutter approach to it, and as long as your film is entertaining, because most of the audience out there aren't going to really be invested in like the Doctor Doom like backstory in the comics and stuff. They just want to see.
Yeah, I mean arguably, I'm not a huge Fantastic Four fan.
I know enough to go in with bare bones, kind of thing.
They said the way I look at it is, if you just like I say, if you need to keep the essence of a character the same, not just to please the fans, but because that's what made the character popular. That's what made it work.
Reinventing the wheel, otherwise.
Yeah, like I say, it's like, all right, we're going to do a new Bond film, but we're going to change every fundamental aspect about the character, except he still wears a tux and he still likes vodka martini. Well, okay, but that's a different character now, so what's the point?
Well,
why didn't you just make up a different character to begin with?
Yeah. I mean, there's that talk about the whole Idris Elba thing, all like racism stuff, like which racist to a black James Bond, to not want a black James Bond. All that aside, a lot of people are saying it would fundamentally change the character, and it's like, not if you did something entertaining and good. I mean, I'm a big James Bond fan, and I can see.
I mean,
the
if
arguments.
It was still James Bond, just he was black, I could get behind it.
If he's cool, and something like Idris Elba could totally pull off every aspect about him. You know, it could work.
Arguably, using the Bond films as an example, you constantly change the Bond, and each James Bond is different, but at the same time, it's the same character.
Well,
even when he and even when he like camps it up as like say Roger Moore, or when he's a bit more like edgy when he was Timothy Dalton.
Yeah,
they still kept the gist of it. The idea of the character was still the same. And thus, I mean, it's not even a case of, oh, well, I was a Bond fan and they changed it so I didn't like it. That's not, so much the point we're getting at here. If you keep changing a character, then you kind of lose the point of the character.
So you might as well just
Yeah.
sack them off and have your own kind of thing.
I mean, this was effectively, as far as I understand it, Doom, nothing like Doom. Like I said, huge missed opportunity in my mind. They could have made him an interesting, multifaceted character. I mean, he wasn't that great in the older Fantastic Four films either,
But he was
but at least,
recognisable.
yeah. This time, completely out the window. Even just the Fantastic Four themselves seem quite different to what you would expect, and I'm not even going there with the Human Torch is black. I mean, okay, it's a bit
You're
of a weird,
racist. You're racist.
it's a bit of a weird choice, mainly because it changes the dynamic of him and Sue Storm, because now they're adopted family, not an actual family.
Yeah, which was really, from what I understand, was just kind of okay in the film. There wasn't anything majorly. It's like, well, the guy would have done that because of such and such. So it makes sense for him to be adopted. It's like they didn't. They just threw it out there that was the case. So
and they seem to have like changed the dynamic of the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is supposed to be this family. In some ways, I see them as kind of like the missing link between like the old like pulp novels and like what we think of as more modern comic books, because they were very almost like Doc Savage or something. It was like the brilliant inventor and his girlfriend and his like tough like worldwide experienced friend and like the hotshot younger brother. They're very much like that kind of like, if they didn't have superpowers, you'd expect them to be going off and investigating King Solomon's mine or something. That's how I've always sort of seen the Fantastic Four in this kind of like cheesy light. That they are almost kind of like that missing link between two eras, because they were kind of one of the first comic book groups, and they've always had this strong family dynamic. Now, when I initially heard about this film, they were talking very much about it's going to be more about the exploration. It's not going to be a traditional superhero film. And I thought, that could actually really work for the Fantastic Four. Like, focus less on the superheroics and more on the science and the exploration.
Like Star Trek original series.
Yeah. Just do it from a superhero standpoint. I mean, in some ways, again, another example of how they could have done this. They could have made this vague on lines of like Guardians of the Galaxy or something, like not a traditional superhero film because it goes more sci-fi. They could have easily done that here, like not a traditional superhero film because it's more something like, say, Interstellar, just with superpowers thrown in. But again, they just seem to have gone in this kind of like very weird, boring direction. Yeah,
they kind of said, this is like a David Cronenberg film, so like The Fly. So it's not like a traditional superhero film. That's what I really thought as a film fan, not just as a superhero, because I kind of didn't see this.
And again, I could see the essence of those characters in that situation, and it could work. But they just seem to have completely missed the mark with that.
Execution was pretty poor. But don't worry, they are talking about a sequel. Apparently, they haven't ruled that out.
I don't know. Maybe for a lot of the problems were with the director, a sequel could save the franchise. But I don't know. I don't see how a director could be behind all these like major problems with character motivations, backgrounds, the way the story's written, just the lack of. From what I've told anyway, the lack of kind of not like a finale and like consequences. It's like, well, yeah, Doom sort of gets back and he's going to destroy the Earth, but most of it's on this like wasteland somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's like, well, where's the threat? Where's the climax to this?
I mean, one major thing that I've heard be said, and because Josh Trank isn't somebody who's got like a major, like a lot of pull kind of thing. He's not got a huge track record. I think he did a film called Chronicle.
Which is pretty well. I haven't actually seen Chronicle. It's something I keep meaning to get around to. It's like a found footage superhero like thing, and it's pretty well regarded. But I'm getting the feeling from some of the stuff that's come out of this, either he was a one-hit wonder, or something's happened between him directing that film and doing this that he's just kind of imploded.
Well, I think they'd need somebody who's got a bit of clout and a bit of creative to give somebody like Bryan Singer who's got a track record. The studio won't mess with him; they will let him do his own thing and use his creative.
There's got to be a lot of people out there who are fans of the Fantastic Four, because this is, like I said, one of the original comic books.
Well, Doctor Doom, at least the looks, from what I understand, inspired Darth Vader's face. Is that important?
He's not even just a Fantastic Four villain. Yeah, he fights the Fantastic Four more than anything, but he goes up against the Avengers, he goes up against everybody. He is one of the major threats of the Marvel Universe. he's kind of transcended just being in one comic book.
So it would have been good to see that on film, especially Marvel,
Yeah.
not just Marvel Cinematic Universe, but like they get criticised a lot for not having a great rogues gallery like DC do in films. So I know it's not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's still a Marvel film. Would have been nice to see that character, that iconic character, executed well. That's why I didn't really want to go see this film, because I've heard enough about it, specific stuff to know.
Yeah, it's just like he's some kind of kid who lives in a garage who's as bright or brighter than Reed Richards, which is fundamentally wrong, because again, you're changing the relationship. It was always that Reed Richards is smarter than Doctor Doom, and Victor Von Doom can't, accept that. He can't be second best. That's just not how
that's
he's
a major motivation for his character, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's not just something that's
It's
there.
not just something, that's why he keeps fighting the Fantastic Four, because he has to, one-up Reed Richards. He cannot admit that there is somebody out there who can, take him on his level of intellect and beat him. He just... That's, the character is that egomaniacal that you just can't,
I understand they threw that away in the film, so again, that's another thing, going back to the point of your video, is that that's something that worked so well. And that was, again, that him not being as smart as Reed Richards wasn't just some stupid thing. That was a major thing in that.
Yeah.
That was one of his major
it wasn't like
drivers.
he was stupid compared to Reed Richards. They were
It
so
just
close
wasn't
that
quite,
he was just that little bit, better.
which you can kind of relate to. Like anyone who's ever wanted something and just missed out on it, how much that burns on you. So they could have had that in this and people could relate to it, but they've got rid of that.
I mean, people complained about the Mandarin. Now, the Mandarin is a character that I can kind of understand why they didn't want to do, at least not yet, because they haven't really got around to magic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet.
But he still rocked in the film. That's the difference.
Yeah. It was a fun film. Whether you liked it or not, you have to admit it was entertaining. It was a funny film. Even if it did have flaws, even if you don't like it, it was entertaining. Hopefully, I don't think anybody would have been sat there bored out of the skull.
No.
Even if they didn't like it at the end of the day or didn't think it was that good.
Some hated on it, but
I think you'd have to be hard pressed to have most of the people coming out and going oh man, this shit was boring or nothing happened.
It's probably one of my least favourite films in Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's still awesome. So that shows how good these films are. But yeah,
like you say, he was still an interesting character. He still did interesting things, and Marvel left themselves an out. I mean, a lot of people complain, "Oh, that wasn't really the Mandarin." It's yes. That wasn't really the Mandarin. That literally wasn't really the Mandarin. The Mandarin has not appeared yet. That was just some guy... Somebody, picked up a book of terrorists and went, the Mandarin, that's a name we can use. Oh, shit, you mean he's actually a real guy?
Yeah.
Ah. Bugger.
Yeah, and it works so well in the film. And
I don't really think you can pull that in this, new Fan Four Stick franchise and go, no, that wasn't actually Doom. That was... That was just another Victor Von Doom.
Maybe on the Blu-ray they could do a one-shot with the guy that plays Doctor Doom in the film. He's you're not the real one. The real one is...
Unless you just have a dark throne room somewhere and then a guy in a green hood and metal mask going, that Doombot did not work very well.
I want my name
Because that was one thing that Doctor Doom did all the time. He had robot duplicates.
Yeah.
He kind of explained how he got beaten in some really wacky and stupid ways sometimes and still came back.
Yeah.
It wasn't always Doom you were fighting.
Yeah, I think we're running low on time, so...
Yeah, I mean, that was just basically our thoughts on this. What do you think? I mean, comment on YouTube, send something in on the Facebook page. What is your opinion on adaptations? Good, bad? Let us know.
Yeah, because, you've probably seen the film, whereas we haven't, so make arguments against this
and
see what
like I say, not just Fantastic Four, that's just a convenient... something to use as an example because it's so recently out and everybody's talking about it. Anything, like I say, just let us know.
Yeah, we've got some pretty decent followers. There's a guy called David Garcia, another one, Andrew Beat, I think it is. Keep commenting on videos and stuff. So if you guys are watching this, what do you think? Anyway, let us know. Leave it there.
Yeah, we will return when something else comes out worth reviewing.
Yeah, nice one. Well, for now, Brand X Reviews, you can follow us on social media, some information coming up on how to do that. So for now, see you next time.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just so you know, for more news, reviews and retrospectives, you can like our page on Facebook, simply called Brand X Reviews. But as well as that, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube via this video. You can also bookmark our website, which is brandxreviews.com, which is pretty much a central hub for everything that I've just mentioned. So check that out and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.